Back here for another episode of College Basketball Review Courtside. Today, talking with new head coach of Bellarmine. That's Doug Davenport, and we welcome him in right now. Coach, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. I apologize for being a little bit late. As you can imagine, there's a lot of phone calls, a lot of different conversations that come up as we're trying to fill a roster. But good being with you, and I do appreciate you having me.
Yeah, and I appreciate you joining on too, because I definitely understand what goes into trying to get players to join a basketball team in this day and age in college basketball. It's mid-April, a lot of changing things, and we will get to that. But first off, just when I know you were the coach in waiting, obviously, but when it was finally your turn to take over, just what has it meant to you, and what has gone into your first few weeks as the head coach here at Bellarmine?
Yeah, I think from a personal and like emotional standpoint, it's a lot. Obviously, my family's put a lot into this program in the university. Um, my wife and I actually met in this building that I'm currently sitting in, and it's overwhelming for a few hours, to be honest, and then it immediately it's all about the players. It's not about me. It's not about our staff. Like it's about making sure we got the right guys in the room, and we can establish the kind of culture and environment that we're trying to establish. We have 7 returners, so as important as putting the roster. I should say this: we have 7 returners, and we signed 4 high school guys early. So there's 11 already in place, which I think 5 years ago would have been normal. That's actually a huge number now, and immediately the 7 returners and the 4 guys that had already committed to us. Those became priority A, right? Like that's priority A, and then it's like every other spare minute we're working on filling out the remaining spots.
Do you feel like, because I mean, you mentioned it there. I mean, 11 nowadays, that is just like incredible for a coach to start off with at this point in the offseason. I mean, you got teams out there with 1 or 2 players on the team, and
Right.
they're trying to fill out rosters. Uh, does it kind of feel like you have a head start on this offseason and like you feel like you're working with something here, you know, better than you may have been able to?
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Last year, the results obviously weren't anywhere near what we want. However, we were able to retain our leading returning scorer. Um, we felt great about our young guys, and 3 of the 4 freshmen are back. Some were one was a true freshman. 3 of those guys were red shirts, and 3 of those 4 are back. Um, and the 3 that are back really played large roles kind of down the stretch and got better every single week. So you talk about like a Jack Karazinski coming back, and then you have Kenyon Gooden, Tyler Doyle, Grant Whitaker, Miles Watkins is back with us too, who had some really big games late. And then our 4 high school guys, we felt great about. We knew. I've said this. I feel like a politician. You just like kind of pull a string and I repeat the same like 3 or 4 things. But for us, like the 2 most important things in recruiting, it's the character piece and the character piece, right? Like obviously there's a financial value on these guys now, right? And so we have X amount of money, and you're trying to make sure you're using it in the most efficient way possible, right? Like can we spend the least to get the most, right? That's what everybody's trying to do. But to me, because I've seen this everywhere I've been. I think I've been in. I think this will be is it year 16 going in college, 15 going college basketball, whatever it is. The teams that are the most likely to reach the potential are made up of high character guys that are team first guys. So even though it's a totally different model than what we had 4 or 5 years ago, I think that that's still kind of the special sauce. If you can get guys who care about the team, you can get high character guys. That creates an environment in which the individual pieces can reach their potential. And ultimately, like that's really what they pay us to do, right? We're supposed to put together a roster, do the best we can with what we got, right? And then squeeze every drop out of that group as a whole. Um, so the reality is, like, as we take this thing over, it's like, okay, what are you looking for? And as we sort through I know you hear what I have no idea what it is, 2,500 names or whatever in the portal,
Oh my
but you know
gosh.
this. The reality is it's 2,500 Division I kids. How many JUCO kids? How many D2, NAIA, D3? How many grad transfers that maybe are waiting to see what's going on? Should I return? Should I go? Like, there are thousands of names. And for us, like, the character, right? And then it's like, on us, can we create an environment where everybody not only can, but everybody wants to reach their potential? So it used to be, we would get to know these guys probably before their junior year in high school, and you weren't really getting them to commit until like September, October. I mean, you had like 14, 15 months to figure out the character piece. Now you're trying to do it sometimes in like 3 to 5 days. So it's kind of speed dating. It is crazy. And you're relying on relationships with somebody who has been around the kid. Is it an AAU coach, a high school coach, a coach from the previous staff? You do see, I think we're all adjusting to this new normal, where if we have a first team all league guy and we know his value is more than what we can do, I do think that like it's similar to us when we're talking like the D2 coaches, right?
Yeah.
Like if they know, hey, we can't retain this guy, I do feel like a lot of those guys, instead of the bitterness, they're shooting you straight on what kind of kid is he, what are his strengths, what are his weaknesses, what's the family situation, yada yada yada.
Yeah. So obviously, you speak to the type of player you want to bring in, right? The type of character that you want on this team. But this is your team now, right? This is no longer your
Yep.
father's team. So what are you looking to build here? Do you have the same sort of philosophy? Like what is your coaching style as far as what you want to bring in player-wise to Bellarmine?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing right now, and I think coaches all over the country would tell you this, and one thing that's kind of prohibiting teams from reaching their potential, or players is these guys are so much different. And it's one thing to sit there and bemoan it and complain about it. Is you're trying to create a sense of gratitude with these guys, right? Like in a world where everybody's trying to get theirs, it's like, can we be grateful for what's in front of us? So we talk about it every day with the 7 guys that we have returning, and to their credit, they've been awesome. They've been awesome, like on the court and workouts and the weight room. They're encouraging each other. They're getting, I mean, every morning, like I walk in, get here at 7:30 in the morning, and it's like, wow, there's already guys getting shots up, like on a team that really struggled last year. Like, that's a really good feeling. From like a basketball standpoint, offensively, I don't think we're going to be a ton different. I know, like, it is funny when we talk to transfers. I think one of the things that comes up, they're like, yo, but am I not allowed to dribble? And it's like, okay, like that's a little overblown, guys. That's a little overblown. And I know, like the YouTube thing was great for us. It kind of helped us develop a brand. It's got, I don't know, 3 or 4 million views, whatever it is. The reality is, like, those teams had guys that had been in the program 3, 4, 5 years, right? And we really called like almost nothing. Like, we called almost nothing. Side outs, dead balls. Every once in a while, we'd hit them with something, or a counter or something we had run earlier, but that was about it. And now, I think like the overarching philosophy is still there. Like, we're trying to hunt great shots.
Yeah.
We want to own the box in the free throw line. So, like, the box for us is go like NBA lane line, right? Like the width of the NBA lane line, go across the first marker. Like, we want to make sure that the ball's not getting in there, and that we are getting the ball there. And then I think we've always had like high level shooters and smart, high IQ guys. We're still trying to identify those guys. We've had to be, and honestly, like obviously we really struggled last year. Our offensive numbers were fine in league. They weren't great, but they were serviceable for, given some of the injuries and stuff we had. Our defensive numbers were horrible. So we've got to make sure that we're establishing an identity going back to like, hey, you might beat us, but you're not going to beat us in the box, right? You're not going to beat us on the backboard. And our best teams, just because of the kind of guys we recruited, we were never getting 36% of our offensive rebounds back. We probably need to go back to being a little more clear cut on what we're doing on the backboard. But overall, establishing an identity where we are going to be the toughest guys in the box. We're going to hunt great shots. Like I always say this, like with me, I don't lose my mind about things that may happen during the course of a game. except for the handful of things that we've drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled 1,000 times. And it's like, there are some totally inexcusable things. Like you go after ball in a gap and you're soft. Like that's not okay because it's not who we are. Offensively, like if you play off 1 foot, you leave your feet in the lane and you rocket the ball out of bounds, like it's not okay. It's not okay because that's not what we teach. It's not what we value. Now, you've hit a couple threes in a row and one comes inside out and it's semi-contested and you're a 39% three-point shooter. My man, like the players are winning the games, right? It's not us. It's not us. Like we've got to make sure those guys have an understanding of what we're trying to accomplish, very black and white. And then it's our job to hold them to it every single day so that what happens in the game is just a product of what we've been instilling for the previous 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, and obviously for years it was your father, Scott, instilling this in the players, and I know that that was an identity there. So it is going to be a new face leading the program. But what have you maybe taken from him to prepare you for this moment?
It's funny that you used the word prepare because he was like the most like over the top preparation guy, and there's a lot of value in that. And I don't mean from a scouting standpoint. I mean from a day-to-day, like what's your daily schedule look like? Are we prioritizing our time when we go hit the practice court? Is everybody on the same page, right? That's like at the end of the day, I keep telling, I've used this like 8,000 times lately. Coaching is a relatively simple task. It's not easy, right? Like from the simple standpoint, it's like try to get the right guys in the room, get them doing the right things, and the results will take care of themselves. Now, we know it's a lot more complex than that. It's a lot more complex than that. Can we remove as many variables as possible, right? And I think that like for years and years and years, and this is one of the things that maybe we kind of hit a rut on the last couple of years. I think one of the things my dad was exceptional at. Going back to when I played, like I was a walk-on, and like my advice, if you're going to be the coach's son, is you better either be the best player or you better be a walk-on. And I was the guy, like if you went to the end of the bench and then you went 3 more seats over, that's where I sat. And he instilled in me that I was bringing value to the program, like by busting my tail every day in practice. And I think for years and years and years, we had these like young guys, maybe they were redshirting, and they felt valued. And so they brought it every individual instruction session, every practice, every lift, every film session. They're bringing it. They're engaged. And then when their time came, right, they had sat 2, 3 years, they were really ready. And everybody was connected because we would like, if it's a good, bad, ugly the day after a game, we would make sure we were praising the bench for their body language, praising the bench guys that, hey, we were ready to handle this action because Matt did such a great job preparing the starters, right? That's harder now. That's harder now because there's more roster turnover. Guys are not wired. Guys are not wired to come in and sit. Like you've got guys going to 3 high schools, 19 AAU teams. You know what I mean? And so we can sit here and complain about it and beat the desk, or we can figure out a way around it. And I think it's really important for us that every day, if we're trying to instill a sense of gratitude in the guys for what they've been given and what is in front of them, we need to make sure that our conduct and our behavior reflects that. So every morning, we had a lift at 8:00 this morning. First thing we talk about at 7:55 is like, hey man, really grateful for the attitudes that they showed up with this morning. And they were awesome in the lift. Phenomenal. Like absolutely phenomenal. Our strength coach, Joe Griffin, is phenomenal. He's done an unbelievable job of creating an environment that they want to be in there and they want to be together. But it's like, guys, let's make sure we're grateful for our teammates, right? First and foremost, like if we can instill that, they're just grateful for their teammates, that the whole, believe it or not, the sun does not revolve around them, right? It's still about the team. It's about the program. It's about each other. As coaches, we are here to serve, right? We are here to serve. We are here to serve the players. We are here to serve the university. We are here to serve the program. Like the pyramid, our pyramid goes this way, right? Not this way. Like we've got to make sure the players feel that. So every morning it's like, hey, appreciate you guys being here. And I really do mean this. It is a huge part of the game right now. It's a huge part of the game. Being on the phone, watching, I mean, how many thousands of synergy clips has our staff watched? Who knows? Nothing is more important than the guys knowing that we appreciate them. And that's where it all starts for us. It's not the other way around. It's not the guys appreciating us, right? That will come. That will come if we show them genuine appreciation every day.
Yeah, no, 100%. That makes sense. Look, I want to go back to 1 year in particular. I know you were an assistant on this team, and it was the season that you guys won the ASUN tournament.
Yeah.
We talked to Coach Scott Davenport after that, and he was very passionate about the fact that you guys were not able to get into the NCAA
Right.
tournament. And I wanted to get your take from that because obviously at this point, you guys are eligible, but
Yeah.
that is still in place. There's a lot of NCAA rules and regulations. I'm not looking to get you in trouble either, but it was a very hot button topic. It still is. I mean, how did you kind of have to go about helping those players and kind of the highs and then the disappointment of all of a sudden, even though in normal instances the team would be going on, this season is ending right now?
Yeah. I mean, let's call it what it is. The NCAA is struggling right now, right? Like they have a total inability to pass any legislation. Whether we could play in the tournament or not, and this is I really mean this. This is how my brain works. Like that has nothing to do with what the players accomplished. That had nothing to do with our day-to-day approach, right? Like my entire focus for these guys, for that team, for this team, for 9 years from now, is like, can we get everybody in the room reaching their potential? That's it. Now, that group, the reason that group was able to accomplish what they accomplished, all right, CJ Fleming, Bellarmine basketball legend, three-time captain, was the ASUN, like, whatever they call it, student athlete of the year or the academic, whatever they call it. Justin Betts squeezed more out of his, I should say this. Justin Betts squeezed as much out of his potential as anybody we've ever had. Dylan Penn, special talent. Ethan Claycomb, like and I'm looking at a picture in the office of a tip-off a game against Duke. We had a kid named Ethan Claycomb. He was a walk-on at Indiana State. Transfers to us when we're Division II. Sat, barely played. All right. Fast forward like 2 years. He's 6'7", maybe 190. Like arms went down to his ankles, but he was skinny. This dude was playing probably 16 minutes a game at the 5 for us. Like we would start him at the 4. When we took we didn't really have like a proper backup 5. So like when we pulled the 5 out, like E would slide over and he's guarding 6'10", 245 against Liberty and Jacksonville. Like they had dudes. And he's in there holding his own, battling. I'm like squeezing every ounce out of his potential. Everybody in that group, they were able to block out, ignore what the NCAA is saying we can't do. And it's like, guys, what, in all seriousness, what does that have to do with us having a great practice today? Right. And the funny thing about that group is like, they've all gone on. They're all doing really, really well in their lives, right? Be it marriages, professions. CJ Fleming just, I want to make sure. I think I have this right. I think he was an assistant high school coach for 1, maybe 2 years. And then he got a head job, 2 years as a head coach at one of the smaller Catholic schools up outside Cincinnati, Baden. And then last week, he was just named the head coach at the largest public school in Ohio.
Wow.
And it's like, so that's the kind of character we're talking about. And I always tell our guys, CJ, I don't have favorite players. My wife does. CJ's probably right up on top of that list. And there's probably not an hour on the clock that CJ wasn't in Knights Hall getting up shots on his own. If it was 6 in the morning in the summer, because that was the only time he could get in, that's what he did. And we've always operated under this mantra, right? We're trying to make sure if all we talk about is everybody reaching their potential, in order for that to happen, we can't have friction. And it's like the quickest way to find friction in the locker room or to create friction in the locker room is get 12 guys that are overachievers, hell bent on reaching their potential, and get 4 knuckleheads, all right, that are negative that spend more time blaming and complaining and making excuses, right? If you have 3/4 of your locker room and 1/4 of your locker room that's feeling 180 degrees from, you're going to have friction. Nobody can reach their potential. What we're trying to do is try to create harmony where this was like a Saban thing from years ago, but it's like overachievers don't like mediocre people and mediocre people don't like overachievers.
Mm.
And if we can get all overachievers in the locker room, then we're going to be fine, right? Coach Patino, when I was with him, he used to always use the air traffic controller analogy. He'd be like, look, I'm sitting here with, depending on the day, would depend on how many years he would tell us he'd been a head coach. I have no clue what the number was because sometimes it was 32, sometimes it was 42. And he would tell them, like, all we can do is sit over here and tell you what we see, right? Air traffic control. They can tell all the pilots on the grid, hey, you need to turn left, you need to turn right, you need to go to 40,000 feet. We can't steer the plane. We can't do it. But we can tell you what we see, and we got to make sure that we're doing the things that are creating trust from those guys to us so that they're not questioning our motives, right?
Mm.
And so for me, it's like every single day that we show up, can we make sure the guys trust in what we're doing? And like with that group, it was so with CJ and Justin and that group, it was so easy because they ran the team, right? Like we had these guys that have been in the program 4 or 5 years, like they knew exactly what was expected of them. They knew exactly what was expected of them. And like we're trying our damnedest to do that. The climate's different. We know that. So really what we got to do is put those things in fast forward and make it happen even quicker.
Mm. Coach Doug Davenport here with us on College Basketball Review Courtside. Look, I'll be ready to let you go in a little bit, but I do have 2 more questions for you. Number one, I would be remiss if I don't ask you for a story about coaching with Rick Pitino. So I got to give you the floor on
that one. The safe ones are because the language is going to be cleaned up. I was telling we had a recruit last weekend, and his dad asked the same question, and this was my it was the year we won the championship. This is 12-13. We played, and I don't remember the exact dates, but we played Western Kentucky, I think was our last game before Christmas. The game was in Nashville. And we played UK the first game after Christmas. WKU was pretty good. We played great, beat them like 25 in Nashville. Coach was staying with some donors to like go to dinner in Nashville, and he was flying back on one of their planes. I'm on the bus. I've been working 90 hours a week, haven't slept, yada, yada, yada. So we're like probably an hour from Louisville. And he texted me and he said, hey, is the Kentucky scout ready? We didn't play him for like 9 days or something. And it's like, absolutely it is. And it's nowhere near done, right? But I had enough work done. He's like, all right, great. This is probably like 11 o'clock. Nashville's on Central Time. It's probably a 7 o'clock tip. Game probably into 10. So maybe it's midnight. And I'm like, yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, I'll sure. We'll meet in the office. This will be great. It'll be fun. And so I kind of, the way the software worked, I could throw something together and give him some rough edits. And he's like, just pepper. He would hit you with. I still have, I still use it to this day, like my scouting template from Louisville. And basically every time he would ask me a crazy question, I would add it to it. And it's just like, hey, things, and I give it to our assistants now. It's like, hey, these are things we need to be ready for. I probably don't ask as many crazy questions as he did, but like these are things that could come up. So he gets back to the office at like 1 or 1:30. And I remember we're sitting in the conference room and we're going over Mano, Zono, hey, who's scored on him? Who's done stuff well? And it's like, well, you see that guy, I think that was the team. That was the team where Nerlens Noel ended up like tearing his ACL.
Mm.
But they were like, Willie Cauley-Stein, they were so long at the rim. And he's like, well, what works against them? And I'm like, I don't know, man. The teams that don't get their shot blocked and lead to a dunk on the other end. So we sitting there, it's probably hour and a half, 2 hours, it's probably 3 a.m. And coach had a almost like a dorm room in his office. He had like a bed and a shower and a closet.
Yeah.
So he walks into his office, which was right across the hall from the conference room, and I'm like, man, I had a couch in the coach's locker room I used to sleep on. And I'm like, oh, it's 3:30. This is good. Calling it a night. So I walked, my office is at the end of the hall, go down to the office. I'm putting some stuff up, finishing or whatever. And he walks by. He only worked out. He only wore these black Adidas shorts and this black Adidas t-shirt. and he had headphones in. That's when you knew he was going to work out. It was 3:30 in the morning, and he's going to get on the elliptical. And I'm like 26 years old. I was very fit at the time. I'm like, man, Coach P's like 62 at the time or whatever, 60. I'm like, man, no way. No way I'm letting this dude. So he gets on the elliptical. It's like 3:30, 3:45 at this point. I went downstairs, put running gear on. I get on the treadmill next to him, and it turned into just like a total ego, like, who's going to stay on here longer? I have no idea how many miles I ran that night, but I know this. I was done the next day. Toast. Yeah. And I'm going to bed at like 5 a.m., waking up at noon, trying to finish. And that, but like the thing that I learned about Coach, as much as he would ask us to do, and he did, ask Kevin Willard, ask these guys that were the video guy for Coach P. As much as he asked us to do, he didn't ask us to do anything that he wouldn't do himself. And so, like, he's in there. I mean, he's in the trenches, right? Like, NCAA tournament, man, he and I, the number of times that we're up till 4 or 5 in the morning, you know, and there may not be anybody in the history of coaching that loves basketball more than that guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he here's a really quick, simple one. It's like my second year there, I think. He called me at like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm like, it's like a Tuesday night. And he said, hey, did you happen to see the side out the Kings ran tonight? I'm like, no, man, I was sleeping. And he was like, you know, I thought when I hired you, I was getting just somebody who's ate up with basketball and a junkie. You're just like everyone else. So, like, I probably don't go back to sleep. I'm like freaking out. Like, I'm getting on Synergy. The game's not up yet. I'm trying to so like by 8 o'clock the next morning, you're like, I've got the plan. I'm like, Coach, this is great stuff, man. But he pushed. And right when the players, the staff, right when everybody was at the brink, he knew when to like patch on the back. But he pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And you see these guys, like, the reality is not everybody's cut out to play for him. Like, not everybody's cut out to play for him. He needs tough dudes. He needs dudes that love basketball. If you check those two things and you can't make a jump shot, he can figure it out. If you can make a jump shot, but you're not a tough guy, you can't handle being coached, it's not the right place for you.
Wow.
You know, I'm like, but I'm so grateful for my time that I spent with him. Kevin Willard used to always say they were like dog years. Like, so like I was the video guy there for 3 years. It's basically 21 years of experience. That's what he would say. So like, there's probably something to that like you cram a lot in, and in the player staff, everybody's in it together, right? There's never a question who's in charge in that building.
That is funny. Look, again, I want to let you go in a little bit. I know we're a little bit over time, but I do have one more question, if that's all right. Nowadays, the pressures of college basketball, and you see it, the fans, it's all over social media. I mean, they want to win. It doesn't matter what level it is for them. It's all about winning, and they're ready to camp a coach after 2 years if it's not working out.
Or one.
Yeah, or one.
Yeah.
So for you, how do you balance that? But then also, like you've mentioned before, to me here, is that, look, there's a lot more behind the scenes. There's a lot about winning. There's also a lot about preparing these players, getting them ready for life after basketball.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. So let's unpack it in a couple parts. Number one, it used to be a little blue bird on your phone. Now it's a black X. Things were really bad last year, and hit delete. David Padgett's one of my best friends in the world. He took over under like a really difficult circumstance at Louisville. And I remember he's going to the office really early that year. I'm always up in the office early. And he would like call me when he was driving to work. And I'd be like, oh, did you see such and such last night? And he'd be like, nope. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, I told you I've not been on Twitter since the day I got the job. And it was like, I will say this, like, anybody that thinks that social media is healthy, they're wrong. It's not healthy. It's not reality. Unfortunately, this time of year, we do have to be on it because it's the quickest way to find out who's leaving, right? Who's available. So trying to block out the noise, you got to remember that 99.9% of these people that are taking shots at you, they've never sat in that chair. And it's really hard. Like, again, like, coaching is simple. It is not easy. It's not easy. When we fail, It's out. It's on the front page of the paper, right? Like it's so easy to judge our success and results. Preparing these guys. So like this is one of the, I don't want to say issues because I don't really like that word, but something that we've had to navigate for the longest time, going back to when we were Division II. Part of our recruiting pitch was these guys, all of our players, and I just set one up this morning. They get like business mentors, usually between their sophomore and junior year with us. And once they kind of declared a major, they think they know what they want to do. Somebody's an accounting major. It's like, all right, well, that's great. Like, let's go through our alums and our donors who are accounting major or who are, accountants. And we set up internships. A lot of these guys, we on our championship team, there's a kid named Garrett Tipton. He's a great kid. I think he had 3 different internships in 3 years, which is totally fine. He's trying to find his way. He was a red shirt and then COVID year, so he was here for 6 years. Ended up finishing his MBA. There's a company in town called ISCO. It's an irrigation supply company. Their real claim to fame is when Scotty Scheffler got arrested last year. There's 2 brothers that own it, Mark and Jimmy Kirchdorfer. They are phenomenal family, amazing people. They grew up in our parish. That's how I've known them forever. Jimmy was the guy who went and got Scotty out of jail. He's one of the owners of Valhalla. So Garrett ends up, this was probably 4 years ago. I had coffee with Mark Kirchdorfer, so the 2 brothers own it, and he was like, how can we help? And I'm like, this is pre-NIL. Like, man, there's nothing more impactful for these guys than setting them up with mentoring them and then setting up with a first job. Mm-hmm. And so like Garrett Tipton, fast forward, he's now, I guess June 1st, I guess will be a year he's been at the company. His salary was a lot better than mine when I was that age. They come out, he got his job offer basically like August 1st before his last year with us, right? And for the longest time, this is part of our recruiting pitch. It's like, hey, like you're going to play for us, and we're going to make sure you're taken care of on the back end. And what I've found going through this is we think these guys are doing us a huge favor, and they are. But when like a Mark Kirchdorfer or these other influential business guys, a Tom Peroni, Joe Reeves, these guys in Louisville who have done really well, what we found is our players become really good employees, right? So this is truly like a I scratch your back, you scratch mine deal, and the ultimate winner are the players, right? They get set up, and now it's like, I'm gonna be honest, there's probably a couple guys in our program that we're gonna have to have a conversation with here in a year or two, where it's like, hey, this is what we can get you for your senior year. Now, you're also set up with this that can help you for the next 20 years, right? So that part, it's something I'm really passionate about, is making sure these guys are mentored by other successful men who know what the world looks like right now. And everybody handles this differently. Like I don't know, probably 20 guys I could call to set up internships and ask them to take these guys on as mentorees. And some of them might have coffee with them once a week. Some might have lunch once a month. It's like, you guys are really successful, man. You figured it out. And it's a lot of our former players, right? And then it's other guys that some were like donors for us at Louisville, and that's how I got to know them, or through my father, that they've just been around his career for 20 years. And so like, it is something that I'm really, really passionate about. It is something we talk about a lot in the recruitment. We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
I think that the program has a really good reputation in the city for the kind of men we've put out. And that's something that, like, win games, lose games, hey man, like we're going to make sure that we have high character kids who, when they leave us, they are prepared for the world. And I think that's getting harder, right? When kids are, look, I'm not really even commenting on the status of college basketball. I think we just saw what happened with Tennessee's quarterback this weekend. We all know this isn't a healthy place. There has to be some sort of two-way street that the player signs something that at least ties them to a school for a year, right? Like that's just reasonable. I do worry about kids leaving school A for school B for this much more money. Now, listen, if it goes from, we're talking 5x your money, that's a totally different conversation.
Sure.
But if you're leaving for $5,000 or $10,000 more and you're costing yourself a network. Like, man, I think everybody, I'm 37, everybody my age knows that there's probably nothing more valuable than your network, right?
Mhm.
Like, and it's hard to develop one if you play at 4 schools, you don't have a network, man. Like you got a bunch of acquaintances, but you don't have a network. It's
Right.
very, very difficult. And so like trying to balance putting together the best roster possible, which obviously is going to involve transfers. We know that. Retention is still huge for us. We want to make sure that like we're retaining the right ones. And I've told our staff this like 100 times. We want to make sure that the only ones we're losing are because it is in their best interest financially to move on, not because we had a horrible evaluation of them and they're not good enough, or because they are miserable playing here. We don't want to lose guys for that, right? If some kid can go make 5x what we can offer him, dude, by all means, like give him a high five on the way out the door. Try to instill some gratitude in them. Like I do. Like we talk to guys all around the country, and like I think one of the things I won't tell you who it was, but a friend who was probably a day or two from getting out of coaching, and then ended up being a head coach. Like 3 days later, it just the way things happen. Um, the lack of gratitude, like guys that you've coached for 3 years, and they can't say thank you on the way out the door.
Mm.
It's like, man, like, are we really? Is that really healthy? And listen, you want to leave, but like, let's make sure that we're still instilling some values in these guys, and that's like a little problematic for me. But I think it's important that that they feel that gratitude's a two-way street. So
Mhm.
that's how we try to combat it.
Coach, look, I appreciate your time. I know we went a lot more longer than planned, but there were some great
That's fine.
stories in there. That was a lot of insight as well into what you've got going on over at Bellarmine. So I appreciate that. Um,
Yeah, should
again,
we blast out a link to our collective fund for Venmo?
yeah, no, no, no. Hey, you want to? You want to give me that link? Got you with the YouTube description.
We're all good, man. But thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you having me on.